Well, welcome to the Here Brotherhood podcast. Thanks to Sean Finnegan for making this introduction. And I'm sitting here with Garrett, who is this incredible financial guru. And I have a little bit of a bio that I'll share, and then we'll dive into the conversation, okay? Garrett is the author of 10 books, including multiple Wall Street Journal bestsellers, with Killing Sacred Cows reaching #1 and making the New York Times bestseller list. His work is about restoring clarity, freedom, and creating a life that actually feels worth living, one that you don't want to retire from. Oh, and to make more money to make money more fun and easy. He even filmed a comedy special you can find on Amazon Prime called The American Ream. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I've looked into the work that you've done. I've seen some of your content, and even you've had some big names kind of back you up and endorse you, like the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Kiyosaki.
Yes, thank you.
I did his podcast a couple times, did a long interview with him. They
Amazing.
promoted our business a few times in the past.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge.
Which is funny because it started out with, I actually wrote a book, Killing Sacred Cows, that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And he came out with a documentary called Shooting Sacred Cows.
Oh, no way.
And mine was the 9 financial his 8 financial lies. So I was like, this is a little too close.
On the
So I reached out and just,
yeah.
like, hey, I'm not, like, what happened? And his team was like, yeah, we just kind of hijacked your stuff.
No way.
I said, well, I don't really want to like be in a legal battle. I'd rather collaborate.
Oh my goodness.
So like,
wow.
Cool. So we had dinner at the Montage here in Park City, and then came up with a plan. They promoted me a couple times. We did a bunch of interviews, and so yeah, because I'd sent the book because someone on their board was like, hey, we'd like a box of books that we'd all want to read, Killing Sacred Cows, because we've heard about it. And then all of a sudden that came out. So I was like, that's probably the better way to handle it.
That's
than a
amazing.
legal battle, right?
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Get an endorsement.
Yeah.
Promotion.
Yeah, for
Get
sure.
an admission that they took some of my stuff.
No, that was a graceful way to handle what could have been something really
So I made
messy.
hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of spent,
Yeah.
$100,000.
No, that's incredible. No, thank you for sharing that. That's insightful. It shows a lot about your perspective and your character just right out of the gate. So
Did you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I did, yeah.
Because like it was a game changer for me. I was kind of like Millionaire Next Door was the first book. I was like, I'm just gonna save my way rich by never spending any money.
Right.
And it's funny because like I read that book and then got married, and then we moved in, and my wife was like, who did I just marry? Because not the guy I dated.
Oh.
Like, because when I dated, I was like, I was making decent money for going to a small school in Cedar City, Utah. And like, we did tons of fun stuff. And all of a sudden, I was like, we're going to save 50% of our income, and we can't have kids till we've saved up X amount of dollars and all this kind of stuff. So thankfully, a few things, including reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, hey, wait, I can create cash flow from assets instead of just saving my life away. And fortunately, it only took like a year into marriage where I totally transformed, and we had a much better life, and I wasn't just an ultimate miser, and she was patient enough to kind of like guide me along a little bit.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think a lot of people and a lot of us grew up with, whether it was taught to us from, a well-meaning expert in the field, or from family, or, our parents have a big influence on our kind of perception of or perspective of money and wealth. And so we get these templates or these belief systems around finance and what it means to be successful or how to be successful. And that can look so many different ways for so many different people. And it feels like the work that you do is sort of maybe challenging those assumptions or those teachings that maybe are outdated or not as...
Because most of those come from scarcity.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a survival mindset.
Totally.
I mean, when my great-grandfather literally didn't have money to put food on the table and his wife is pregnant, he's like, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
Scrapes up enough just to get to America. Then, gets to a small coal mining town. When the coal mine disaster happens, he becomes a goat herd, lives in a tent for a while, finally gets to the coal mines, finally can rent a place, and meets his daughter for the first time when she's years old. It's like that will establish a level of scarcity in a family of like, you got to hold on what you can. You don't know who's going to take it from you.
Yeah.
You don't know if you don't have money, you could lose your family. Like, so it's like, just hold on, scrimp, save, sacrifice, delay, defer. And that kind of mantra kind of just permeates from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And then that saver's mindset, because no one really shrinks away to wealth.
Right.
Like if you have, the Millionaire Next Door where people have millions of dollars, but they've never been on a trip. That's no different than being broke and not going on a trip to a large degree, because the money kind of corrupts their mind. And it could be for what's good intentions, but it's not actually expressed in the best way.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to take care of my family. Great. Is that the best way to do it? Is not have experiences, not have quality of life, not invest into yourself, not create a life that you love. Like all those things that come at the expense of like always focusing on how do I reduce my expenses? How do I save more money? And then unfortunately, those dollars are worth less.
Yeah.
We just keep printing money.
Right.
So, you're losing 50% of the value every 10 years by just being a saver instead of learning how to like invest in yourself or become a better investor or just those things that will really make a difference.
What are some of the most common, I mean, this is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Oversaving. Like, what are some of the most common things that you see with people with how they're handling their finances or even just their mentality around finances? And what are some of those practical steps that we can take to like evolve and grow into more of a wealth and abundance mindset?
Most people kind of like just don't take responsibility for their finances because they just hand it to someone else. Like there's all these videos out there right now, just so many videos that say, if you start saving $100 a month when you're 20 years old, 40 years from now, you'll be a millionaire.
Right.
What are they talking about? By the time we consider inflation and how much you put into it, you're barely getting ahead. It might be worth 300,000 at best and not even close to $1 million.
Yeah.
That's a moving target. And what else could you be doing with that money? What if someone has a double-digit interest rate credit card? Or what if someone could like develop a skill set or invest in a group a mastermind that would help them out? It's that a lot of people get stingy with their money, and that stinginess ends up having where they basically save money but spend time. And you're not going to get wealthy doing that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the philosophy is people believe that if you're going to be wealthy, that you got to have three things. One, it takes money to make money. That's not true, but people believe that. You can make money on money, sure.
Yeah.
But you can build relationships and ideas and value in exchange, and that can create money because it's, dollars follow value. You become a value creator. The second is they're told high risk equals high return. So they put their money in things they don't understand, and then they're upset when it doesn't work out.
Right.
That's a really faulty notion in the world of finance. And then you're in it for the long haul. They don't measure success. They don't create cash flow. They just let it go for 30 years and then hope for the best. And 95% of the time, when someone turns 65 in America, they're not financially independent. 95% of the time.
Yeah.
It's a faulty model. It's a bad mindset. It's really like, it's completely upside down, but it's just common enough. And people haven't done enough research, or they just heard this for long enough that they just kind of go, I guess this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they feel it's not right in their gut, but they just, read some book, saw some video.
Right. So what
heard their grandparents say it.
Yeah, no, that generational perception. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, yeah, I've heard a bunch of stuff, and there's so much information and content available now, and there's also a lot of experts or financial advisors who are saying, yeah, come work with me and I'll help you figure it out. And that can sometimes be problematic because are they trying to sell you a particular product, or not all financial advisors are created equally, right?
Most financial advisors are not really financial advisors.
Yeah.
Look, when I was 19 years old, I got life insurance license, then I got Series 6 and 63 license, and I told people I was a financial advisor. I was just peddling mutual funds and life insurance.
Yep.
That's not financial planning.
Yep.
Now, I know people that are like family offices, meaning they work with wealthy families that have a comprehensive team, and they look at corporate structure and cash flow and taxes and asset protection. Like the ultra wealthy get real financial planning. Most people don't. They get someone that sells one product or sells one philosophy. Like you'll have someone say, I work with a fiduciary. Well, that just means that they charge a % fee for your money. But if you have 10 times more money than the other person, are you getting 10 times more value for spending 10 times more? So a lot of it is just really fragmented. And the other issue is if they don't know who the individual is and what they want and what their money, blocks are, and, like all those kind of things, that's, what are we planning? It's usually someone pushing a plan of retirement instead of a better life.
Yeah. Okay. So where does somebody begin when we're like, okay, we're identifying all these issues.
Yeah.
There's scarcity mindset. There's all these beliefs that I've had around it. And then there's people that are saying like, oh yeah, we have advice, we can help you, but some of that isn't actually very helpful.
Right.
So where do people start?
So we created this money persona quiz, and people would just DM me on Instagram, Garrett B. Gunderson, put quiz. We'll hook them up with a quiz, and it'll show them winning versus shadow persona. Shadow is where scarcity traps are and the potholes that would lead person to like limit their results.
Yeah.
And then the winning persona. So you find out which persona you are, and if you're married, which one you're married to, because we don't marry the same persona. That's part of the attraction factor, I swear. It's like how the universe works. You're going to learn from each other.
Yeah.
So one person's going to be like I want to hold on to every dollar. The other person's like, I want to spend a bunch of money. And you just figure that out. Well, this money persona, like I used to argue with my wife about money. And then once I understood this, it's like, wait, I used to think I'm the gas, she's the brakes. And I think, no, I'm the accelerator, she's the guardrails.
I love that shift. Yeah.
And it's like, we don't like, we'll have conversations around money, but we don't argue about it because now it's like, we're planning this together.
Yeah.
We're in this together. And so knowing our money personas was instrumental.
Do you find that you balance each other in a healthy way with that, with those kind of
Yeah, because she wants details.
Yeah.
I'm like quick to take action.
Yeah.
So I can move us forward, but she can move us forward like in a calculated way.
Yeah, strategically.
Where I might just like sloppily go do something.
Okay, right.
You know, it's just like when I told her, yeah, I want to do comedy. I mean, she's like, okay, like, how much is it going to cost and how much are we going to make? Like, you know, but we talked through it and it was like, all right, well, here's the business I have and all the cash flow that's coming from it. And this is why I think it's awesome when someone's financially independent. You have recurring revenue from your assets to cover your expenses. Mm-hmm. You can swing for the fences in life,
right?
Because your foundation is handled. So when the foundation is handled, my wife's like, great, let's go.
Yeah.
What's your vision? I'm on board.
Right.
If we're not financially independent, she's like, are we going to be eating worse food? Are the kids going to different schools? Do I have to sell my car? Like, what's happening here? Like, so I have conversations with her. I remember one Valentine's Day, I just wrote 19 questions on a card around money. What's your first memory of money? What would it take for you to feel safe? What do you like about how I handle money? What could I improve upon? You know, just these questions. And she felt so seen and heard, and I had a better understanding. And so a lot of times we just can have a better life by asking better questions. But if we're not asking questions and someone tells us what we're supposed to do, how do we know that's the plan for us?
Yeah.
I kind of look at it like perspective is the first layer. That's our view. And if we're in scarcity, we're going to have a limited perspective. When we're abundant, we're going to see more possibility. Then it's purpose to narrow it down. Yeah. Because abundance can be dangerous if you just like say yes to everything and get overextended. Purpose narrows it down and focuses it. Then you build the plan based upon who you are, right? Then you find the right professionals, and then finally the products come in. But if you start with professionals and products, they're selling, like if people will sell you their plan if you don't have one.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
That's so good. In that piece around asking the right questions, I think that question that you asked, like, what's your first memory with money, can be so revealing. Because one, it's the one that you remember, which means it left an imprint of some kind, right?
Right.
And then two, there's so much information that can be gleaned from that memory or from that experience. And we're getting into kind of the psychology of this, right? And where does either scarcity or abundance
it drives me. That first thing still has an impact on me.
Does it?
Sitting under the table, hearing my mom say stuff like, you know, we're getting killed by insurance, which I didn't know what that meant. There's no money left over after we pay the bills. And her and my dad having that conversation, not knowing that I'm there. Like, I always want to make so much money that my family's always taking care of. Not just my family, my extended family. And I feel a little bit of pressure of that because of something that happened when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And then my wife reminds me of that moment. We talk through it when I feel that level of pressure or burden or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, hey, you're not helping everyone if you just take care of everyone. They have to learn to take care of themselves. So she reframes it for me, right? And then we just get to a healthy place. And it's great to have a partner that can ask you that question, be that mirror.
Totally.
And if you can have we have regular meetings that are planned meetings so that we can have difficult conversations versus a difficult conversation when the energy's not there or when it's unexpected. So every week, having a time where we could sit down, we listen to records, have a coffee, go in the hot tub, and just talk through hey, you know, how am I doing on a scale of 1 to 10? Are there any big financial purchases that you want to work towards? We had our conversation yesterday, it was an hour and a half. And she's like, we really need to, we just finished our backyard last year, which was about the price of our first house.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it still stings. I mean, admittedly beautiful.
Right.
And we're sitting in the backyard enjoying it.
Right.
You know, and she's like, we need to do something to the front yard. It's like, cool. Yeah, I got some things to figure out right now. You know?
Right.
I relaunched my business in July of 2024. It's going extraordinarily well, but media side, I haven't figured out, and I'm spending a bunch of money on it. So I'm like, all right, we got to let's build a plan. But see, now she'll work with me on what does that plan look like? And so she had someone come later that day to say, hey, what could we cut out and then add later without taking from it? But see, I like that we have those conversations because I don't feel like she's just spending money. I feel like she's adding value to our life. And I know too many husbands are like, all she does is spend money. And I'm like, one thing I really recommend is I have an account that's just her account. Because, she takes care of the kids, she takes care of the household. She used to be a teacher before having kids. So I'm the one that's earning the income, but I make sure that there's money that goes into her account that's guilt-free spending. If she wants to buy gifts, if she wants to order Amazon, it's her money. Because if it's only like, did I approve of it, that creates potential contention.
Yeah.
It's like a level of like her not feeling free and feeling too much control. And so there's just simple things like that people can do, but a lot of people are just afraid to do it.
Yeah, no, that's so big. And it's so relatable. We haven't, in my marriage, we haven't figured out that like, here's a separate account or here's this or that. And it does come up from time to time of, my wife is like wanting to do this thing, but then she kind of feels like she needs my approval, or she needs to, or she feels a little guilty about like,
so what's the right time to ask?
Yeah, and it has been a source sometimes of maybe conflict or just a weird dynamic that's like seems totally avoidable if the structure's in place.
Two recommendations. One is give her some amount of money that's guilt-free spending. She might just buy gifts with it. Who knows? She might buy jewelry.
She's so generous. Like she just is giving it away, and I'm like, well, wait, how much are you giving?
But give that where there's no ask, no question, and then have an account for the two of you.
Yeah. That's
just guilt-free spending.
Yeah.
What do you want to spend a little extra on? Where do you like to splurge? Where other people might judge you or you might judge yourself, but it's like just that, what's going to help you create a richer life?
Yeah.
I've had people that really made a lot of money, but it didn't translate into a high quality of life.
Right.
I mean, they were charitable, but they lived so meagerly that I would convince them like, hey, if we save some tax for you, how about you take some of that savings and you just spend it on yourself? They're like, I don't know what to spend it on. I'm like, well, let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Ask better questions.
Right. Because a lot of it was like, they feel guilty or about what they have, or their family said these things. They don't know how they would view them. I'm like, well, some of the things that they buy is like not even a big deal. But there's things that I buy with our guilt-free spending that I'm like, I bought very expensive clothes. I don't really do that anymore, but it's like, it just made me feel fulfilled, like made me feel excited. And it was money that we had in that guilt-free spending. We always go for lay down seats if we're flying somewhere out of that account. We just find out what moves the needle for us and what doesn't move the needle for us.
Yeah.
We're deciding like travel in the United States isn't moving that needle for us anymore because we've created a really comfortable life with a bunch of great people around us here. But Europe is worth the dive, right? So you just got to figure out like, what are you willing to spend on? What are you willing not to spend on? And then you remove the not spending so that you're not just pressured into it or like something that you wouldn't want, but then you bought anyway because other people are doing it. It's like, and then you go all in on the things that matter.
Yeah.
And then you get more out of your money that way.
So this is connecting to me to what you said earlier about purpose, defining purpose. And I noticed that you didn't say goals. Everybody by default goes, what are your goals, financial goals? And I'm curious if you have a perspective on that.
I have a lot of perspective on that.
Purpose and goals, connections.
Here's my problem with goals.
Yeah.
If they're financial in nature, then we see money more than we see people.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a goal that says how many people are going to impact this year instead of how much money we're going to make.
Yeah.
Because what if trying to make that money, like, okay, this is what happened. When I was like doing my first book, I was like, I want to sell 20,000 copies. And I ended up selling a bunch of copies to one person that got me involved in a really bad investment deal that I would have never gotten involved with, but because they were buying books, it's like, I was so focused on selling books that I stopped thinking clearly. And so I also wouldn't want someone to start putting the sales pressure to meet a goal if it's not the right thing for the person they're serving. It becomes a problem. So if you focus more on the impact than the goal, if you focus more on the purpose and the movement, you focus more on the outcome of like what would happen for people that you're serving instead of just what would happen to your bank account, then you'll actually grow a bigger bank account long term. And you'll feel less pressure to like rush into something or pressure. Like I also wanted to get 100 people to join this program when I sold my book. It was called The 401k Hoax. I said, we'll outperform your 401k by double or your money back just because we're good at saving tax and stuff like that. And I took 3 people to get to the 100 mark that shouldn't have been in the program. Ended up refunding them. They were the wrong people. It was a huge pain. It was always stressful if I was meeting with them. They weren't really nice. They were never going to refer us. They were high demand, but I took them because I was trying to hit a number.
Yeah.
Right? What's the difference of 97 to 100? Almost nothing, other than my life would have been 50% better by not having that headache. So I like purpose where it's like a bigger overarching, like, who are you? What do you stand for? What are you about? more than like, hey, I want to make sure that I make X amount of money this year.
Totally. How do you help people define purpose, like find their purpose?
There's a few ways to do it. Unfortunately, I can't just look at someone and say, here's your purpose, because then it's about me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So that's the hardest thing. And even my wife, like, she's in a place where our kids are now leaving the house.
Yeah.
Our 18-year-old's about to leave. Like, literally, she showed me a video yesterday. It was 3.5 minutes. All these notes that my family had written to him, all these great, pictures that she had. I'm bawling my eyes out because I'm like, dude, this guy's leaving in June. It's like such an emotional time. But I can't help my wife find her purpose any more than like she has to find it herself.
Yeah.
And that seems frustrating because I help so many people in this, but I ask questions. I try to like just be supportive and be patient. And she's like, it's on her. Well, having a hobby is one way that it can help people.
Mm-hmm.
Hobby where you lose track of time and you can listen and you can receive like the downloads.
Right.
Where it's not just like listening to podcasts or reading something. It's like the time with you and your creator, being in nature. I have workbooks that ask a ton of questions that can help refine. And again, like part of it's like daily habits and rituals. It's like having alone time in the morning, doing journaling exercises. Some of my purpose came from, I had a dream one night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna write a one-man show. I just woke up and it was there. It was like planned. And my wife's like, what's that? And she thinks it's the coolest thing I've ever done. Or like in a moment, I was like, I'm gonna do a comedy special on money. It just happens, right? It's like, but you have to be willing to receive it. And most people, when it happens, they go, it's inconvenient. Who am I to do that? I don't know that that's possible. It's, what would that be? And they start to discount it.
Yeah.
So when you have those pings and then it's about who's your co-creator, who's one person that can support and inspire you and bring accountability. So when I knew like, okay, I'm gonna do the one-man show, I immediately called someone that I knew that did a one-man show the first morning. And he's like, here's my director, here's my movement coach, here's my acting coach. I was like, took notes. And then I called another guy that had helped me with speaking. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I want a director. He's like, I'm your guy. Then it's a 6-figure contract. I'm like, okay, this is legit. I'm spending serious money here to do this. But or when I want to do comedy, it hit me and I made a call to my buddy that's a comedian. He was at my office the next day. That Wednesday, I'm doing an open mic. I invited all my friends so that I wouldn't back out. It's like you just get into action. Too many people, they let those be fleeting moments, ignore the intuition because intuition is almost always accurate but rarely convenient.
I just want that to marinate for a second, what you just said. Thank you. And you took some big steps, is what it sounded like to me.
I sold my business in 2021 that was a cash machine.
Wow.
Just had a ping.
Yeah.
Just literally like a spiritual moment.
Wow.
I called my wife. I go, I want to sell the business. She's like, what? She's like, it's on autopilot. I'm like, I know. I don't feel connected to it. I don't think it's my brand. I don't like the direction that it's going. And it's too big of a ship to turn. I'd already maybe the previous year said, hey, we're going to be more collaborative. I want the culture to be better. And it's just like, wasn't getting there. And I was like, okay, I had leadership issues that I could have been better, but now it's time to it was time to let go, which was hard.
Wow.
Right. And then my next call was the person I sold it to. And it was just in a moment. Most people just ignore that because they go, look at all this cash that's coming in.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Yep. Like I could have easily talked myself out of it. And there's some days where I'm like, did I make the right, I made the right move. Like this new business is phenomenal. I have the right people. It's just, I'm in like literally suffering trying to figure out this media thing, it's just like been difficult. I'm good at books. I'm good at stages. Haven't been great at media yet.
So I can relate with, I'm more of the mindset that you described, the dynamic of you and your wife. I'm more of the like guardrails, slow down, hold up. And my wife's more like, oh, let's just do this. Let's just, right? And it's funny when you just explain that story of like telling your wife, we're going to sell the business. She's like, whoa, right? There are those
She's like
moments.
just driving in the car and I call, hey, we're going to sell the business. Got pinged.
Yeah, she's like having a panic attack, right? So what I want to get at though is like there are those moments where it's like big decisions, big swing for the fence kind of decisions, and those are huge. And then there are those moments where it's like, what's just that one small step forward? Right. And that's more like my comfort zone, right? Where my wife would love to like go big. How do you think about like when is the time to swing big and when is the time to be like, let's just take that one small step and then see from there?
Yeah, the way I look at it is like a small step for me is investing in myself in a way that will help me uncover. So like small step would be like, oh, let's hire a mentor. If I'm unclear about, and that mentor's going to ask me questions, so I get clear about what I want. And sometimes as an author, I'm like, I should already know what I want. But it's like, I've had people that give me the best advice in the world, and then they can't take their own advice because they're too close to it. I'm like, you need exactly what you've told me to do in the past. Then could be hiring a coach. Like when I want to get really shredded, I just hired someone that said, here's your macros, here's your workout. Super easy.
Yeah.
Right? Then have systems to reinforce those initial steps.
Yeah.
Like what, regular meetings or like AI tools or just something that helps bring it, like, so when it's inconvenient, you still keep with it. And then accountability, like just speak it into existence and get people involved in it. And so small steps, great, especially if it's like progression just to get stability. Like these big swings or when I had financial independence.
Yes.
If there
was a foundation
10 years earlier, if I'm like, babe, I'm gonna do comedy, she's like, you're not funny. Like, come on, let's not go broke here.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm kind of working through what you said earlier of like we're talking about the mindset, scarcity, abundance, and then we get to purpose, and then we get to the plan. And that is obviously so customized based on what's at the foundation. But there are probably some just overarching principles.
So there's 3 tiers to the plan.
Yeah.
Number 1 is financial fitness.
Cool.
How do we get your financial house in order? Have we transferred risk so that you're not exposed? Have we built enough cash so that you have peace of mind? Have we created, asset protection in case someone comes after you? Have we mitigated your taxes? So it's just like going through and checking the boxes.
Yeah.
Like we just have a financial health assessment. People go, okay, this is set. This isn't set. Then we prioritize it. Then the second step is how do we start creating financial independence? This is where it gets really customized because financial independence is what's your investor DNA? Where you invest and where I invest shouldn't be the exact same. We have different knowledge. We have different things. Like I hate real estate. I think it's a good investment for the right person. I just don't want to talk to attorneys and bankers and look at spreadsheets and deal with tenants and property managers. I've done that in the past. Learned that's not what I want to do. Other people are just so good at it. So you become a better investor when you know your investor DNA. It could be that you're really good at intellectual property or you're good at business acquisition. Like you find whatever that one main asset that's going to generate cash flow and you double down and focus on that asset. And then you create one asset class to move business wealth to personal wealth. Too many people go, I'm going to be in 100 different things. They can't keep up with it. A bunch of stuff loses. They feel bad about themselves. And then they work their butt off just to lose money. So financial independence is let's create some cash flow that comes in even if you don't open your phone or your computer. Now, it wouldn't stay there forever, but like at least you could have time off so you can relax and rejuvenate and have a quality of life. And then let's find the right asset class to move that to. And then finally, the most customized thing is what is financial freedom to you? Like to me, it's money is no longer the primary reason or excuse I do or don't do something.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, how do I get someone to heal their relationship with money so they can dream big when the foundation's set?
Yeah. That's such a good definition. I love that.
Yeah.
And let's talk for a second about investor DNA.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. Are there kind of archetypes of this or?
Yeah, basically it starts with like, what are your values? So what are the things that you deem important?
Yeah.
And then it's what are your competencies? Like where do you have skill sets? Where do you have increased ability as you invest more time and money into it? Then what are your drivers? Where do you have deep interest and passion towards something? Because that adds that extra fuel. And so investor DNA is what investments make sense based upon you are. Instead of like, hey, you should get involved in this tax lien deal.
Right.
Well, some people are going to be good at tax liens, others aren't. Or hey, you should just put your money in an index fund. That's like kind of forfeiting,
Right.
There's no control. You have no idea what's going to happen. You're invested in companies you would never support in real life. So I look at it like, how do I help someone become a better investor? And I think the most underappreciated way to do it is if you're a business owner, you grow the people in your business, the processes, and the infrastructure to a place where it could operate without you. And if you do come operate, it just adds fuel to the fire. And, I've done that before. I just recommend doing it in a way that you stay connected. I got a little bit too disconnected. Just, taking a summer off in Italy and, being at my cabin all the time and, just kind of checked out and it started going in a little bit different direction than I wanted it to. So I learned those lessons. But if you have that wealth engine, then it's just like you pour gas on that fire. You don't go, Apple doesn't go, I got a bunch of extra cash, let's put it in Microsoft. Yet most every small business owner has extra cash, and rather than buying capabilities or infrastructure, they put it in a retirement plan that's locked away till 59 and a half. I'm not a big retirement plan fan. I'm not even a fan of retirement. I think create economic independence and then choose into the activities you want to do for the rest of your life. but doing nothing isn't really a good plan.
Yeah. Okay. So how hard is this for people? Let's say just somebody's got a decent job, they've got the family, and they're hearing all this, and they're like, "Dude, all that financial freedom sounds amazing," but it also feels like so hard to get there. You know?
Yeah. If they have a job and they're W-2, it's harder because you want upside potential. Or you've got to have or you've got to spend a lot of time. Like I've had a W-2 guy that, was making like a mediocre income.
Yeah.
But he decided 20 hours a week he was going to do real estate, and within 1 year, he had enough cash flow to quit his job.
Wow.
I don't know. He was living off food storage. He's doing 20 hours a week. I would never be able to do that.
Right.
But it doesn't have to take a year. It could take 7 years. But if you're just going to lock money away and keep doing what you do, trading time for money, it's going to be a really hard process. Yeah. This is just a different kind of hard. It'll be hard up front and easier. That's our choice. Either easy, hard. I don't want to deal with it. I hand my money over. Or hard, easy. I'm gonna have to figure this out, plan it, but every month gets easier as you build momentum and you're doing the right things.
That's awesome. Okay.
Choose your heart, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I also wanted to ask you about this because this is something I've heard a lot, and I've, in the things that I've read, researched, whatever, it sounds like there is a lot, or I hear a lot of messages of the merit of just kind of set it and forget it, like invest in index funds, and over the long run, that's going to outperform most things, right? And you just kind of challenged and questioned that. And so that really stood out to me. Like, what would you say to that?
It takes 30 years for that to bake.
Yeah.
I'd like to see someone financially independent in 10 years or less. I think that's very realistic. Which now, imagine if I have cash flow from assets to cover my expenses. I can invest 100% of my active income. That's a 10 times advantage over someone only saving 10% of their income. Yeah. So this 30-year, I get it. If you just don't want to think, it's not the worst plan. It's not my plan.
Yeah.
And if there's a plan people want to go down, I'm not their teacher. I'm not their guide.
Right.
Like I'm totally cool if someone wants to pay off a mortgage or not pay off a mortgage. I'm not here to influence that. I'm here to get them the safest way either way. Right. But if someone's like, hey, I just want to put my money in the market, there's plenty of people to help with that. You don't need my help.
Right.
But if you want to be like, what makes the most sense? How do I save tax? How do I save on interest? How do I, reduce fees and keep more of what I make? How do I create financial independence? How do I heal my relationship with money? How do I think mindset-wise? Like all those factors. All right, I have a lot of help to offer them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, I'd love to hear your own story of becoming, like, what led you to financial independence? Because that might just be something that connects with people, like what, or a story of a client that stands out to you.
I'm happy to share mine because, so I was a millionaire by the time I was 27, a multimillionaire by the time I was 28 and a half, and worth $0 by the time I was 30, because my audited financials said 8 million when I was like just before I was 30 years old, and that was in 2007. And then 2008 happened, and I didn't have financial independence. It was all net worth. I didn't have recurring revenue. I had real estate, but it wasn't creating massive cash flow. I was hoping for appreciation because that's how the market was that time. I was getting a ton of it. But when that went away, all of a sudden I had built on faulty ground.
Yeah.
So I got through that without declaring bankruptcy, which was tough because I had over 100 real estate properties. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to build this from a cash flow perspective this time around. So in 2010, I was very focused on cash flow and what to do there. So we started to build programs that people paid monthly, and we started to, buy companies that gave us more capability that would allow us to reach more people. And so what I did was I created intellectual property and charged 15% for the use of it to the business. And that just brought in money every single month, whether I worked or not, because I'd built the machine, I'd built the content that needed to be used to produce everything. So that's how I built it the first time. Wow. Now, I sold the business, lost economic independence because, I didn't really have a lot of other cash flowing assets because I've narrowed down my focus. In my 20s, I had IPOs and oil and gas. And it's like my whole life was managing my finances. So I simplified it. And then in July of 2024, I was like, all right, I'm going to launch a business called Multiplier, helping entrepreneurs get their financial house in order, keep more of what they make, grow themselves. And, I'm already financially independent from that business.
Amazing.
It happened very quick because the second time around, it basically happened in 18 months because I had all the, knowledge, I had all the relationships and,
so yeah.
so yeah.
That's awesome. And when we started talking about like your mindset around money, what helped you to change your psychology or your perception? Because it started from more of that scarcity place, right?
Yeah, I won this little silly award when I was early in my career and was super proud of it. And then I ran into this woman in the hall and, we're talking about it. And she's like, I can't wait till you get to the top level. You'll see they view money differently. And I was like, well, what do you mean? I want to learn. And so she just asked me a bunch of questions. And however I answered, she just finally goes, I wonder what it's like living in the financial prison you built for your wife.
Wow.
I was like, this was that year of me talking, like, I wasn't spending any money. I was having to save everything. We're living in a crappy apartment, even though we're making a good 6-figure income at the time. So I called and apologized to my wife. And I was like, I've been such a miser. I'm sorry. And we bought our dream house within like 3 weeks.
Wow.
And it was, by the way, less than what I was making in a year. So it was like well within our means. And then at that same event, I joined Strategic Coach because a lot of the people that were ahead of me were in that program. So I learned a ton from Dan Sullivan in that program. And I hired another guy, Steve, that became a one-on-one mentor. So I really went into investing myself once that broke free. And it just made a huge difference. And then I'm at events and I would meet other young people that thought differently than me, that had a higher quality of life. And I just, spent time with them, did a radio show with one of them for a long time. So it's being around the people that view the world differently in the best of ways, that challenge the status quo, that inspire you. Like it was, that was one major event with 3 major pieces of it, but everything kind of kept climbing from there.
Wow.
And I still deal with scarcity and have to, get through it for sure. But I'm aware of it now. I wasn't even aware of it back in the day. It just had a hold on me and I thought it was reality. Instead of now being like, I'm in scarcity. What's going on here?
That's so good. That awareness empowers us. Agency. Awareness increases agency, right? And that's so important. Thank you. For somebody who's listening to this and they're like, all right, I'm seeing myself a little more clearly. Like I'm maybe identifying, am I more in scarcity and abundance? I think I have a sense of what my life is all about, like purpose. We talked a little bit about the DNA, that investor DNA, but for that person that's just sitting here going like, okay, I'm sort of just doing my normal thing, but what could I do that would have the biggest multiplying impact? Like, where would you point them? What questions would you be asking them?
I would get in the right,
wow.
When you're around the right relationships, everything changes. I was talking to my wife yesterday because I'm dealing with a bout of scarcity with this media thing, as you could tell. I've mentioned it, and I'm like talking to her, and she's like, the problem is, she goes, all your friends are so damn rich that you're comparing yourself. I could feel you comparing, and just got back from I was like, I know I shouldn't do that. I would tell my clients not to do that.
Right.
But I did, I've slipped in that trap of scarcity that, thankfully I've got someone to help me through it. So, but those relationships stretch me too, right? They think big. They're collaborative. They're like, one of them called me yesterday. He's like, hey, I got a bunch of referrals for you. Like, that's a good relationship. And I was like, I said, hey, dude, I got some tough health news. Like, put me in a tough mindset. He goes, all right, dude, let's get on the phone once a week for a while. Because he's a master at how you like really anchor future positive emotions and live into those instead of having the negative past emotions that are unconsciously governing your behavior. So it's like, man, when you have quality relationships, so you invest in, whether it's, I don't care whether it's a curated room, like, it's like what you're doing or a mastermind or something, you go and you show up and you just become a value creator. And you ask a lot of questions instead of trying to be so interesting, and you just try to learn all that you can. Like I was just at an event last week, and I thought the event was just okay, but there's 2 people there, and I spent 3 hours with one, an hour with the other, and I got so much from those 4 hours that absolutely shaped what happened this last week in such a positive way, because I just went up and asked questions, and then looked at ways that I could provide value too, which. For the one, I just said, hey, this person probably wants to hire you, and this person, why don't we all go talk? So I like gathered a group of people, and they're all like, yeah, we want to hire you. Like, yeah, so he's like, that's awesome. And he's like, is there any more questions you have? He literally just sat there for an hour after his presentation, just answering every single question.
Wow.
So you just build relationships. That's the game.
That's such a good answer, and not the one that I was expecting, honestly, right out of the gate. So
right.
That's
it's
fantastic.
Like, there's not one magic pill or investment.
Yeah.
More money without the mindset just leads to a lot of misery. I wish it didn't. I had more money coming in automatically, than ever in 2023, but had some kidney issues. And I was done doing comedy. I wasn't sure what was next. I was like plenty of cash, but not happy.
Yeah.
You know, I was really happy in college, not as much cash. I like being rich and happy. I think that's good to do both.
Totally.
Like it's not an either or, and
Totally.
more money is a good thing in almost all cases.
So Carl Richards, I don't know if you're familiar with Carl. He has a podcast called 50 Fires. He gets into the psychology of this stuff. But one of the things that he said recently was that if you have a psychological issue with money, more money is not going to solve that problem. And that's just exactly what
Right.
It's like. There's
if you're in a good place and more money, you got more ability to create value, more peace, more options. But yeah,
that's so good. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your the content of this title. What was it? Killing Sacred Cows?
Yeah, that's my first book.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, there's 9 financial myths that are sacred cows that people just like, oh, you just put money in an index fund. You're in it for the long haul.
Right.
You know, dollar saved, a penny saved is a penny earned, like all these cliches. And I just drill down and show them that the limitation, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's like, more than anything, I've had people reading like, oh, there's permission to succeed. I lose the guilt and shame around money. I understand like how to avoid the potholes.
Yeah.
So that's what the book's about. It's a more philosophical in nature, maybe than some of my other books, but I think it's so foundational.
Yeah.
Because I've had people that are like, I spoke to 20 billionaires, handed out to all 20. And you know, because I'm like, I don't care how much money they have. And one of them said, it's like you're writing the words I wanted to express. Right. And then had someone that it just changed into him being a cash flow investor, completely changed his life instead of being an accumulator. There's stuff like that. It's really, you know, I mean, that book's old, so I've just had a lot of feedback over the years, but I rewrote it recently.
Oh, wow.
So it has investor DNA, which it didn't in the original version. And it's shorter because I'm a better writer than I used to be.
Nice.
I think I was trying to prove myself too much in the first one, you know, like little like attorney building the case and let me say more. Oh, wait, you're already convinced? Let me give it another 2 pages, you know? It's like it's a little fat. I trimmed it a little bit.
Gotcha. Awesome. Hey, let's talk for a second about that that guilt mindset that can come in. Because it's kind of, you know, on the one side, it's like scarcity, there's never enough. And then it's like, well, maybe we did have some success. And now what's my relationship with that? And I don't know if this is one of those sacred cows, but like money being associated with evil. Right, like that can come up.
Yeah, it's one of the chapters for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
money's power, money's evil. 2 different chapters in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like when you love money and use people, that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you love people and use money, that's the liberation.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like, and if people are willing to like lie, cheat, and steal for money, then they're corrupted. The money's not corrupted. Money's just a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct of value creation. And the better that you are at creating value, the more money that you're going to have, right? So it might be the amount of people you impact, how deep you impact the people. So that's a big piece of it. And even like the money is power thing, like sure, there's people that use money for corrupt things, but there's also the United States spends more money than any developed country on health, and yet we're like number 42. So it's not power, it's what's behind it. It's just a catalyst, it's just a tool, but there has to be depth and value to it. So if someone's like deceiving someone to get their money, then you destroy value. If someone's adding value, the person can give the money, the other person that gets the thing, they're both wealthier. Yeah. Because it's more efficient. The exchange creates wealth.
Yeah, totally. No, this is just personal curiosity. You've talked about comedy a few times.
Yeah.
Tell me about, because you're obviously like a master in this financial realm, and then you've had this like passion. Like, tell me a little bit about this.
I remember like when I was 5 years old, being 2 nights in a row. I think I still had footsie jammies, right? Where you have like the onesies, and I'm like just like sneaking out of my room because my parents are, you know, having my mom's family over, and my mom's laughing, and my uncles are telling jokes, and it's just, I'm like, this is awesome. And then the next night, it's my dad's family, and uncles are hilarious. They're telling jokes, everybody's laughing, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I started to regurgitate what I was hearing, and I didn't get in trouble, even though it was probably things I wasn't supposed to say.
Maybe funnier
but
coming from a little.
But I always felt like it was like connection and love. So it's always there, but I was always like afraid to be like, am I going to do this? I wrote a letter at an event, and I was like, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And then it took me a couple of years coming back from Italy and having some time to think, and then telling a few jokes from stage on my first event back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So it's just, money is a tough topic for a lot of people. They just, but if I could make them laugh, they can learn more. you remember 3 times more when you laugh. So I'm like, this would be fun for me because I have this love and connection for it. And it's just be nice to bring, like, I've written a book, it hasn't come out yet, using, humor to teach money. And then we're launching this thing called the Financial Roast, where we roast different topics like debt or crypto or, or like hustle culture or, entitlement. And so it's like, you can learn while you laugh. So you're just like enjoying it, but also left with like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. So it's just, definitely something I love.
That's awesome. Do you have a hot take on crypto?
I mean, 99% of it won't exist in the future. Like,
interesting.
It'll be like the internet was in the 90s. Most of those companies didn't make it, but we got Amazon and we got Google and we've got, a few really big players that got to the other side.
Like huge, right?
And they're monsters, right?
Yeah.
So,
but a lot that
so much of crypto is just hype and buzz and, and underdeveloped and, just an easy, unregulated way to take money for some. And then there's some legitimate things, but what will make it stand the test of time? We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Real estate. You said you started there.
Yeah.
And that's what led to your initial success, right? Was
well, I mean, my business with real estate.
Okay.
I just heard, if you're going to be wealthy, you got to own real estate. And I bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
And so I think real estate's right for the right person and completely wrong for the wrong person. Risk isn't in the investment, it's in you, the investor. So I know, like, we talked about Kiyosaki. He's still going to real estate seminars and learning. And he's got real estate partners and he loves it. It's part of the game that he loves. So great, he should keep doing it. But for someone like me, that's just not part of my DNA.
Yeah,
it's not what I want. Like, I write a book and that's a piece of real estate. I've written 10 books, like that's a piece of real estate.
Yeah,
like that's my real estate, and that real estate leads to people coming up and have a conversation, meeting fascinating people. Like, I've never had a tenant that stopped me in the airport, or but now people that watch the YouTube channel or read a book pretty regularly will say, "Are you Garrett?" And then we have a conversation. It's always pleasant, impresses my son, annoys my wife. It's perfect.
Nice.
Doesn't really annoy her. She just walks off. She's just like, I'm just
gonna go somewhere else. Yeah, go read a book or retirement. You touched on that too. I'm just kind of like rapid fire on a few of these big ones. Retirement plans, 401k.
I mean, if they're originally called income reduction plans, that didn't gain popularity. They were really created because of the failed pensions. And pensions had the best money managers in the world, and now we're just going to push that on to the average person that doesn't know money management and doesn't have the best fund manager, so that the companies don't have that risk in the future. It's just an inadequate, insufficient plan. It doesn't lead to enough money. The average 401k balance is like $170,000. That's not going to get people very far. Yeah. The number one reason why people have $1 million is because they put a boatload of money in it, not because it had huge returns. So like 1% of people have $1 million in a retirement plan. And the thing is, even if you have $1 million, where are you going to invest that to get $60,000, $70,000 a year, and you still have to pay tax on it?
Right.
How's that really going to be a retirement for someone? Like, if you're making $60,000 a year, it's going to be hard to get $1 million in your plan. And maybe $1 million 20 years ago would have sounded like a lot of money. It's a lot less money today.
Yeah, totally.
It's about $300,000.
Relative, yeah. That's sobering, right? Because
frustrating.
Yeah, totally.
That's why financial independence, that's the game.
Yeah.
Efficiency. My book, What Would the Rockefellers Do? We did a study, like what happens if you save on interest and save on tax versus double your return. So much more effective to save on interest and tax and keep it safe.
Wow. Okay. What was the title of that book?
What Would the Rockefellers Do?
Okay.
It's my most popular book.
Is it? Okay, cool.
If someone just DMs me Rockefellers at Garrett Gunderson, we'll hook them up with a copy.
Cool. Okay. Amazing. Key principle of that is
how to create a legacy regardless of where you start from.
Oh, cool.
The Rockefellers have passed on money for 7 generations. The Vanderbilts destroyed one of the largest, amounts of money in 3 generations.
Oh, wow.
So what are the differences that anyone can learn from?
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool because we talk about family retreats and building like family values and putting them in a preamble to your trust. It's like really fun work in some ways.
Yeah.
Rewarding work.
Yeah. Okay. And then taxes. Any just hot takes on taxes for the
most people defer taxes instead of save tax. But what if you delay tax and they raise taxes? You're actually in a worse position.
Yeah.
And they're spending a lot of money. So I wouldn't trust them not raising taxes in the future. So I'd rather see people save tax. You save it by, turning active income into passive income for tax purposes, or having capital gain assets versus having just income, because capital gains is a lower tax rate and you could borrow against it tax free. or just, if you learn about charitable deductions, like charitable trusts that you could actually donate your money and still live off it during your life and leave what's ever left over to the charity. Like, there's just so much out there other than just writing off expenses. There's a lot of that too. You can hire your kids, you can rent out your home for 14 days to your business, write it off and not pay tax personally. Like, there's just so many things people miss. Home offices, if you're a business owner, section 199A, which gives you 20% deduction on the top of your income. So now you're only paying tax on 80%.
Okay.
There's just so much out there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What would you advise for somebody who's like maybe overwhelmed by all this and they're like, where can you point me?
Yeah, GarrettGunderson.com.
Cool.
Check out our stuff.
Cool.
At least jump into the newsletter so you get save money, get these ideas in more bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
And then people that are fit, like we have a multiplier program where I teach every week. They get a one-on-one, financial coach.
Cool.
And then we have a full network of attorneys, accountants, and everybody to help them get everything implemented.
Cool.
So,
how do you define success now?
Like, my old definition was so unhealthy in my 20s, which was, I just want to be wealthier than anyone I knew, which makes it, that's like deep down, that's what I believed. Now it's like, I want the people that I love to love me, and I just want to be at peace, because if I could be present, that's wealth. And sometimes I'm really good at it, and other times I need to work on it, and I think that's what happens a lot of times when you write a book, because my last book, Money Unmasked, is really about how do you design a life that you love, and how do you create a life you don't want to retire from, and how do you not chase numbers. And I still have those bouts here and there, because sometimes you write what you need most.
Yeah, totally.
That book took me longer than any other book to write. It's so personal, and it's the one I keep going back to in my own life. Be like, this is I'm missing this right now. Like,
past you is reminding present you of what you needed to hear.
It's this is the deal.
Totally. And what's your relationship with fear, failure?
I kind of feel like the fact that I have a great marriage after 23 years, and it was really hard from year 7 to 9 when we're going through all that in 2008. I'm not really afraid of failure in business, because it's just not that personal like a marriage was. I was, that was hard to get to the other side, and it's been so richly rewarding. We have such a good relationship that was infinitely harder than anything I faced in business.
Yeah.
So obviously I've done comedy, a one-man show, so I'm just willing to put myself out there.
Yeah.
Because I know that the best feelings are on the other side of complicated things, scary things, difficult things, hard things. All the things that I cherish most in life took work. Anything that was just, some things are given to you, and I guess you could appreciate it. Like, there's God-given gifts, but I don't know, there's something about actually earning something.
Yeah.
I feel like earned money I enjoy it more than just passive income.
Yeah, and to me, it sounds like you've developed a relationship where you're comfortable with risk, fear, and failure that may come from that, and you've had enough reps of that it's no longer so scary. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been through some hard stuff, which helps you gain threshold, gain strength, gain the ability.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. And last thing I'll ask is, what is your purpose?
I want to create 1 million lasting legacies. I want to get families to focus on legacy, to really create this amazing family structure of having a family crest and a family retreat, and having all the things the lessons that were most important captured to go from generation to generation. And to be a catalyst for that would be I'm gonna have to do that till I die, because it's a big undertaking, Yeah. Not a lot of people do legacy plans.
That's amazing. And we have a shared purpose. I have a design background, and it's years ago. There's a whole story to this that I won't get into, but my wife and I had a hard thing that we went through, and it pointed us to the big questions. And what came from that was our family crest, our core values, our guiding principles, and our purpose statement. And that has been such a North Star for us. And it honestly preceded a lot of really important big things that happened in our lives. And,
Love that.
And a lot of gifts that came. When we got clarity, it was like the windows just opened.
Through, right?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Totally.
So,
love that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Amazing.
Awesome conversation.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.